There are moments when fear doesn't arrive loudly. It doesn't crash in or announce itself. It settles in quietly. You go through the day functioning, you answer messages, you do what needs to be done. From the outside, nothing looks wrong, but inside, something feels tight, not panic, not despair, just a low, constant awareness that doesn't let go. At night, it becomes clearer. When everything slows down, fear finally has space to breathe. Not about one specific thing, but about everything at once. The future, the people you're responsible for, the things you can't control no matter how much you pray. You don't stop believing. You don't walk away from God. You just notice how fragile you feel. And that can be unsettling, because somewhere along the way, many of us learned, quietly, that fear means failure. That if we truly trusted God, we wouldn't feel this way. That anxiety somehow cancels faith. So when fear shows up, we hide it. We manage it internally. We keep praying, but with restraint, as if we don't want to disappoint God with our honesty. You still show up, you still whisper prayers, but they feel cautious now. Not because you doubt God, but because you're tired of feeling exposed. This isn't rebellion, it's vulnerability. And it raises a quiet question you may not say out loud. If fear is still here, does God's covering still apply to me? If that question feels familiar, if fear hasn't driven you away, but it has made you careful, stay here. Nothing needs to be fixed yet. Fear rarely looks the same for everyone. Sometimes it's loud, but more often it's quiet and constant. It shows up as tension in your chest that never fully releases, as thoughts that circle late at night, even when the day went fine, as a sense of being on alert, waiting for something to go wrong. You might not even call it fear, you call it responsibility, awareness, being realistic. You tell yourself you're just thinking ahead, just being prepared, but deep down, there's a weight to it. You replay conversations, you imagine outcomes you can't control. You feel responsible not only for your own life, but for the well-being of people you love. And when things don't change, when prayers don't shift circumstances, fear becomes quieter, not weaker. It settles into your body. There's also the fear of getting it wrong spiritually, of praying the wrong way, of not trusting God enough, of carrying anxiety while still calling yourself a person of faith. That fear is especially isolating because it doesn't feel acceptable. You don't want to admit it, even to God. So you carry it privately. You continue your routines. You show up at church. You listen to scripture. But something inside stays guarded, not because you don't believe, but because you're afraid belief might not be enough to protect you. This kind of fear doesn't scream. It whispers, and it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human, living in a world that asks a lot of you. Nothing needs to be solved here. This moment isn't about reassurance. It's about honesty, without shame. When fear lingers, silence can feel personal. You pray not with big words, but with sincerity. You don't demand answers. You just hope for some kind of signal that you're not alone in this. And when nothing changes, the silence starts to press in, not loudly, not cruelly, just steadily. It's easy in these moments to assume that God's silence means distance, that if he were truly present, fear would fade faster, that calm would replace tension. But silence doesn't always mean withdrawal. In Scripture, silence often appears not as absence, but as restraint. God not rushing in to interrupt the process. God not overwhelming the moment with explanations. Silence leaves space, and space can feel uncomfortable when fear is already present. You might wonder if you're supposed to feel stronger by now, if fear is evidence that something is missing in your faith, if God is waiting for you to reach some invisible standard before stepping closer. But the silence of God is not a test you're failing. It doesn't demand emotional stability. It doesn't require you to feel brave or composed. Silence allows you to notice what you're actually carrying, without judgment. Fear continuing in silence doesn't mean God has stepped away. It means he hasn't stepped in to control the moment for you, and that distinction matters. God's presence is not measured by how quickly fear disappears. Sometimes his presence is shown in how fear does not undo you. Even when you feel exposed, even when answers don't come, even when the night feels long, silence does not cancel protection. Psalm 91 doesn't confront your fear. It doesn't argue with it. It doesn't tell you to calm down or to trust harder. It simply comes close. The psalm speaks of covering before it speaks of courage, of shelter before strength, of protection that exists before fear decides to leave. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. This is not conditional language. It doesn't say after fear is gone. It doesn't say once you feel confident again. It speaks as if fear is already assumed. Psalm 91 was never meant for fearless people. It was written for those who know what danger feels like, for those who understand vulnerability. The promise here is subtle but steady. Fear does not cancel covering. You don't fall outside of God's protection because your heart races. You don't step out from under his care because anxiety lingers. You don't disqualify yourself because your trust feels fragile. The psalm describes a God who guards without waiting for permission, who assigns protection without asking for emotional readiness, who remains present even when fear occupies the same space. This doesn't remove fear instantly, but it reframes it. Fear becomes something that exists within God's covering, not something that pushes you outside of it. You are not standing alone, trying to manage both faith and fear at the same time. You are already sheltered, and Psalm 91 doesn't rush you out of fear. It stays with you inside it. For a moment, you don't need to engage with fear at all. You don't need to challenge it or understand it. This is simply a pause. Let your breathing find its own rhythm, not deeper, not controlled, just natural. If your body feels tight, notice it without reacting. Awareness doesn't mean something is wrong. It only means you're present. You don't have to relax perfectly for rest to begin. Small releases are enough. Allow your shoulders to lower slightly. Let your hands rest wherever they are. There is no correct posture here. Fear may still be nearby, and that's okay. It doesn't have authority over this moment. Psalm 91 speaks of shelter, not escape. Shelter means you are allowed to stay where you are without being harmed. You don't have to wait for fear to disappear before resting. Rest is not a reward for calmness. It's a permission given under protection. If thoughts come, let them pass. You are not required to follow them. If silence feels unfamiliar, stay with it gently. Nothing needs to fill it. This is not a moment of achievement. It's a moment of allowance. God does not ask you to manage the night. He remains awake so you don't have to. And whether sleep arrives soon or later, you are already held. Remain here, under covering, without effort. If fear is still present as this moment continues, that's not a problem to solve. It doesn't undo what has already been said. Psalm 91 was never meant to remove all uncertainty from your life. It was meant to remind you that uncertainty does not remove God from your life. You don't have to carry this truth actively. You don't have to repeat it or hold it tightly. Let it stay nearby, the way quiet companionship does. Fear may come and go. Some nights it will feel stronger. Other nights it may fade into the background. But God's covering does not fluctuate with your internal state. It does not thin when you feel anxious. It does not retreat when your confidence feels weak. You are not protected instead of fear. You are protected within it, and that means you don't have to monitor yourself for signs of improvement. You don't have to measure whether this prayer worked. If you return to this psalm again, it will still speak the same way, not louder, not more forcefully, just present. Let this moment remain open-ended. Let the night continue at its own pace. If rest comes, receive it. If it doesn't yet, you are still held. Stay close, not out of urgency, but out of trust. These psalms are meant to walk with you, not rush you, one night at a time, under covering.